Everyone, welcome to the Rewatch. It's where we rewatch the game, a more sober analysis after Texas loses to Georgia 10-35, I believe. I've kind of blocked it out in my mind a little bit, but we are going to discuss what we have seen. But first, I want to see you over on Inside Texas, $1 for 1 month. That's a hell of a deal. It's an awesome board, awesome community, incredible writing, incredible team news, analysis, recruiting, all of that jazz. Would love to have you. $1, 1 month. Gentlemans, let's start with kind of global coaching. My feeling is that we got outcoached in several facets of the game, and I want to hear your opinions on that. Let's begin with Eric.
You have to break it down in parts. Obviously, overall, Kirby Smart certainly outcoached Texas. They put them in a submission hold in the fourth quarter, and it was over with, choked them out. Texas got outcoached. There's no doubt about it. I think Sark had a really good plan coming into the game. The offensive script starting out was really good. That first drive deserved more. Of course, they made some mistakes like they typically do. But, Arch was in a good rhythm to start. They ran the ball effectively on the first drive. They found balance on that first drive. It pretended good things, but I think it probably pretended good things too. They couldn't keep it up. I thought defensively there was way too much free yardage underneath that we've seen a lot from PK in the past. There's one they just gave him a first down. I mean, it was like 3rd and 5, and the guy was lined up 10 yards down the field. I mean, you could split the difference. You don't have to press them just because you don't have a safety over the top. Doesn't mean you have to, play back to safety depth. We saw too much of that. A lot of free yards underneath. They really killed Texas on that. They found the soft zones. I think they knew where the soft zones were. Probably a little too predictable in that regard. Mike Bobo did a good job, as you were just saying off camera. Texas got outcoached. I do think Sark came in with a good plan. I feel like that game, I can see why Sark would be frustrated. At one point, it's 14-10. Texas looks like they're about to get the ball. They found some offensive rhythm again. They refound their rhythm on the previous drive. Things are looking okay. And then, of course, it all went south from there. And Kirby proved, well, he's the best coach in America.
That's what they do. Good coaches are like, oh, you're getting a little bit of momentum. Now it's time for us to shut the door. We're going to go for it on 4th and 1. Then we're going to do the onside.
Yeah, I was just reading a comment on IT, and sorry, Court, I know you need to talk, and I'm sure you can't wait to talk about this subject. But one guy commented, even at 14-10, it never felt like we were in it. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Kirby Smart definitely felt like Texas was in it, and that's why he went for the throat when he did. He was not content to just let Texas get the ball back and get another drive. At that point, they would have been in trouble. So Kirby definitely felt like Texas was in it. Texas was certainly in it until they weren't. Kirby, credit to them. They went for it. They were every bit as aggressive as Sark said he wanted to be going into the game.
Cord.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's all really well said by Eric. I did like the opening script from Sark, but at the end of the day, I was pretty disappointed to only find 3 points. You knew that points were probably going to be hard to come by in that game. Definitely agree that Boba did a really good job. Life was so much easier for Gunnar Stockton than it was for Arch Manning, and we'll get into that when we talk about Arch's play. But the throws he was making, I mean, and it's not to discredit Gunnar, but there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that could have took that Georgia game plan last night and executed it. And so that was disappointing to see. Too much easy yardage underneath. Where it all turns, yeah, right there. You have that drive for Georgia where they make the decision where they're going for the 4th and 1 after they ran the punter out there a little bit. The part that I hated, man, was it just feels undisciplined football when you have a 4th and 4 at midfield. Georgia goes tempo. They get lined up really quickly, and everybody, it feels like in the world, knows they're going to hard count. And I'm not sure if we don't jump there, if Colin doesn't get into the neutral zone, I'm not convinced that they even run a snap right there. I mean, I think they end up punting it right there. It would have made not a lot of sense. But then again, when Texas is playing 8 to 10 yards off on 3rd and 4th and short, they may have very well gone for it. But no, overall, the biggest disappointment when it came to coaching was special teams and letting them get away with the onside kick. I hated to see that moment because that right there was, was kind of the nail in the coffin. It was hard to trust that the defense was going to get a stop right after having given up the drive that they just said. Georgia had all the momentum in the world, home, 4th quarter. But yeah, winning time, Kirby Smart obviously knows how to take over a game. He went for the jugular, and he found it.
There's a big tension right now within, should Sark have an offensive coordinator? When he's calling plays, and we were talking about it, I saw there was a lot of talk on Twitter. Oh, he's calling plays. He's in his groove. I can't believe people wanted a different play caller. Well, the trade-off is situational awareness and game management. When the game management is good, it seems like the play calling is off. So there's going to be a trade-off there. And a number of head coaches have come to that conclusion, have made changes. I don't think Sark, you don't want to take him play calling duties away from him, but somebody has to be the head coach. So, I mean, he got outcoached. I think it was a plain to see.
Arch Manning.
Arch is awesome.
Yeah, solid performance from him. Looking at the all-22, he did good navigating pressure, didn't get a lot of sacks. That was nice. Interception, he had Cole Hudson got driven straight back into Arch, and Arch had to short arm it, kind of like trying to get it out quick, and it made him inaccurate. He has that fumble that we end up actually recovering on a sack, but overall, it was a good day. Manning's had stringed together a lot of positive weeks. I think you can have faith there in Arch now that it's just not going to be up and down. I think he's grown a lot as a quarterback. So no major critiques of Arch from me. Cord, you're muted.
Again, I thought it was a pretty productive performance from Arch Manning, especially given, the early drops. I don't think pass protection is, exactly got better throughout the game. I think it might have been the opposite. I thought he put balls in some really, really tough spots against some really, really good coverage. Thought he made the right reads as far as stepping up in the pocket and wanted to kind of get out of the pocket there. I'm not surprised to see him go in and be, arguably Texas's best player on offense. Just at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. You got to put the ball in playmakers' hands, give them an opportunity to make those plays. And unfortunately for Texas, a couple of big drops early on. Maybe Texas finds a few more points there in that first half, but not really on 16 in my opinion.
Yeah, they had more They had more drops, I think, than Gunnar Stockton had incompletions. It's it's not on Arch at all. Arch has not been the problem outside of the Kentucky game, maybe. And the Kentucky game was kind of the old offense, the old issues that we talked about for much of the season that were attributable to Sark as much as they were to Arch. Arch hasn't been the problem outside of Kentucky since the UTEP game. I don't want to hear about Florida. We saw the growth there in Florida. It's there on tape. Him kind of being a one-man band back there, getting beat to death and still making plays. Yeah, through a couple picks, he's trying to make plays and try to score. Arch is awesome. He's being let down by the supporting cast, whether it's offensive line, whether it's the skill. The scheme seems to be much more suited to him. So you got to give credit to Sark to sort of going in a different direction. Probably needs to be the direction that they stick to, create an identity around further. But yeah, Arch is really good. I've got no problems with where Arch is. Arch is going to be awesome. I still see some criticism of him. I don't know what people are looking at.
All right, guys, let's hear a word from Academy. The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every single day. Shop in-store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list. From football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands, the most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. All right, next up, running back room. I think we finished with 1.2 yards per carry. That's similar to what we do against them. Of course, there's sack yardage involved, but there were just, I think, 2 sacks, right? So it's not like there were 6 sacks. We did have some success interior run early on, a little bit of perimeter, but I don't care how you got there. The result is the same. We couldn't run consistently or didn't go to the run consistently, which is a fair argument. But I wasn't that mad at it going in. I was like, don't run. You need to pass. But still not able to get above 2 yards per carry. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, started off running the ball pretty well. I was pretty excited about that. Wisner ran it. He's finding holes. He ran with his eyes. He did have one where he just ran into this guy, kept his head down. I don't know what the hell happened there. That was wild to see. Yeah. But overall, he started off well. The run game started off well. I'm kind of with Sark in that, they got away from it. There's fans are kind of all over the place. Now they're saying you can't run the ball, but in the middle of the game, they were saying, why'd you get away from it? So that tells you that they were finding some success. The game flow just got away from them. At 14-10, maybe they start running the ball again if they get it back. Of course, the next time they touch it, it's 28-10, and there's no time to run it. So the run game is over with at that point. So, I think there's a different alternate reality where they probably run the ball a little bit better, but the way the game context unfolded, it wasn't to be.
Cord.
Yeah, I mean, there was never going to be a lot on the ground in this game, and I was one of the guys kind of also saying we don't really have a chance to pick up much and ditch it for the most part. But I liked what we had on the opening drive, like Eric just said. I mean, the first carry for Trey, I think, went for 15 yards, and in that moment, I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a game where Texas can find 125, 140 yards on the ground. But no, again, when the game flow is what it is, you're not going to sit there and see a team putting an effort to move the ball on the ground in that fourth quarter. Possessions are limited. You had to go away from it. Down the line, obviously, it's got to be a big staple of this offense. But again, just this year, this version of Texas football, it's not going to be what we hang our hat on. You saw another, pretty standard performance. What was this at? 83 rush yards in 3 games versus Georgia that's a little concerning.
No, it's all good, dude. Next up, wide receiver drops were kind of the start of it, and Sark really emphasizing Wingo. And Wingo comes back in the second half, has a really good second half. And to me, I think Mosley's the number 1 receiver. And they do target Mosley in the all-22 like 3 times towards the end, right? Like they're trying to hit him on fade balls. They try to hit him in the end zone. So it's not like they didn't try to go to him later. It just wasn't a good connection there. But the wide receivers, I don't think they showed up well for Arch, and it was kind of reminiscent of the SEC championship game for me. A lot of this was reminiscent of the SEC championship game, special teams, penalties, wide receiver drops. So I don't think it was a great day for them. Some guys had some good performances, but overall, I give it like a C for the wide receiver room. What do you think, Gordon?
You had the big drop early on the cross route from Ryan Wingo that you don't know how that game plays out, or if we're able to put the ball in the end zone there on that opening drive. You have the drop from Washington, which again, that's not a wide receiver, but just drops for a theme of this team. So I give credit to Wingo for bouncing back. I like that he went up vertically and went up in traffic and made a play on a jump ball. That's really not something we've seen, from him. Not a true 50-50 ball, but just to see him go up in traffic and come down with it was nice to see. I would still like to see Mosley targeted a little bit more. And again, I think, Arch pretty comfortable when he goes at Parker. So not really, it didn't look like Parker was a huge part of the game plan outside of a couple of looks. But, again, outside of that, gotta catch the dang football, man. But again, it's a pretty dang good defense. It's getting a lot better, and they're not going to make life on too many teams down the road.
Moore had his first drop of the year that I recall. That was costly. Wingo had bad technique. He's trying to cradle the ball when he should have tried to point the ball. That was not good. Seen too much of that. I don't count that one deep down the field as the drop, but you would like to see your number 1, a guy that's getting paid like your number 1, come up with that ball. It would have been a very good catch. A very frustrating aspect of this game was a couple of those swing passes to Wingo were close to breaking. One, he slipped a couple times, and then another one, it's the timing is just barely off. But you could see Sark went to it a couple times because it was close, and they couldn't get it. But too many drops, you can't have that. I asked these guys to bail me out. Now I'm going to hear about it until the portal opens about how they need a wide receiver, and they're not giving me anything to defend them with. You got to go make plays, especially in that game. But those drops outside of Wingo, the drops were uncharacteristic. Jordan Washington, I don't know, man. That guy, he's moving way too slow. That was his at least second bad drop of the year, just right in his hands. That you're not playable if you can't catch that.
And I thought injuries was getting targeted early, and I was like, okay, finally, we got an injuries game plan. Psych. And so it is what it is. I'm frustrated with injuries, not with injuries. I'm frustrated with the usage of injuries. Don't enjoy that we're not trying to utilize him more, even if it's for simple stuff. All right, running, we did all that, tight ends. Okay, let's talk offensive line. So offensive line, I think, gives up 2 sacks. Of course, the rushing performance is like 1.2, so I can't say the run blocking was incredible. But comparatively, they're playing better. Now, some of that is Arch is really good in the pocket, right? When you're watching the all-22, it's like, well, he's having to avoid stuff. But I'm not grading this as their elite. I'm grading this as like, what the hell is going on earlier in the season? And that part is at least getting better. They're playing serviceably. They're giving us a chance. And that is important. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, from what we saw earlier in the season, yeah, you would take that performance in a heartbeat. And like you said, a lot of that is Arch just having really good pocket presence, pocket feel. My biggest issue at this point is penalties. Just these guys have been in the program forever, and you're still seeing way too many penalties. It just drives me insane. We see penalties across the board, but these pre-snap penalties and the holding that they got called were obvious calls. You got to make that call. So, yeah, that's my biggest issue. They've got to upgrade. They've got to get, and Sark has to figure out what he wants his identity to actually be, and if he's got the bodies for it, because he doesn't have the bodies for what he wants to be. So all I care about in the offensive line right now, I don't really care about the next 2 games, is what do they do in the portal.
Me too. Cord.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and you know, it is what it is at this point. You would take that performance all day, every day, considering what we've seen early in the year. I thought pass protection, again, combined with Archer's pocket awareness, that looked better than maybe I anticipated. And so, especially early in the game, I think late in the game when Georgia was able to kind of, they know you're in passing situations, they know what's coming. That it looked a little bit different as far as they're getting pressure on Arch and how we handled all of that. But again, we knew the ground game. We knew it is what it is. We weren't going to pick up a lot, but I thought overall, I was happy with their performance. But down the line, definitely think the portal will be used pretty heavily.
I think it'll look great. I don't think we need anything in the portal. You guys are nitpicking. All right, did we miss anything on offense, fellas? Any final straggler points or anything?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Defense. So watching the All-22 was pretty illuminating. Georgia had us schemed up. And like the 4th and 1's the best example. They move a tackle over, so now they have 2 tackles, 2 tight ends, and then they bring a fast guy to get to the flats. Manny Muhammad, his guy runs inside immediately, so he looks inside anticipating something coming back. He was right, but what was coming back was the running back there, or whoever it was, the fly out quick speed. So they just repeatedly schematically beat us and got us out of position and then ran routes against our leverage. And they did it all game. It was a ton of cover 3 that we played. Whoever was outside, it would run off the corner, and then they would immediately fill it with a speed player to the flats, and they were just picking up easy yards. And then when on the big seam to London Humphreys, Michael Taft bus, because they do a switch release. It was Bobo beat our defense, and they had an incredible game plan for us. And like you guys mentioned earlier, Gunnar Stockton wasn't making NFL throws. Like if you go back and watch his touchdowns, besides maybe Noah Thomas running that quick route, it was all here you go. And then Gunnar Stockton was able to execute. But really the MVP of the Georgia offense was Mike Bobo, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Gilbo had terrible leverage on that touchdown he gave up. Terrible. I don't even know what he's thinking. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, Bobo. Well, we had identified Bobo. This is not the Mike Bobo that was catching all the strays from fans for years. We were talking about him coming into the game. They have a really versatile offense, and they took advantage of a lot of free space. They're like, if they're going to give it to us, we're going to take it. And they took it pretty much at will. They took it in high leverage situations where I thought Texas still played too soft. Mike Bobo beat Pete Kwiatkowski pretty convincingly. And Dwayne Aquino.
Yeah, I was going to say the pass D coordinator got really beat.
That was the name of the day on that side of the ball, man. I mean, they schemed us up. Bobo won the day. He made Gunnar Stockton's life a lot easier than we made Arch Manning's. I will give Stockton credit on that quick out to Noah Thomas for a touchdown. Kay Phillips was actually in pretty dang good position on that. It took a good throw there, and so. It's credit to the defense after a really poor opening 2 series where you give up 2 touchdowns there and, things look pretty nasty. You get up, I think we forced 4 consecutive punts and then force a turnover. So, I mean, there was some good in there, but at the end of the day, I mean, Bobo, the plan, it was too easy for Georgia to do what they did. And in my opinion, that's the difference. Did a decent job with the run game, which you want to see, of course, but, yeah, man, when you can't defend anything in the flats and get off the field on 3rd downs, you're playing 10 yards off some of these spots. And definitely, we definitely got whipped in the headsets.
Yeah, and Kirby's aggressiveness really benefited Bobo too. They were able to stay on the field. They were in a good rhythm, and they just kept it rolling. So, I think they really benefited from no layoffs on the sideline. They were right back out on the field and went right back to work. They had found themselves, and it was ball game.
And I think in the run game, they found success too, especially late. I think they ended up, don't quote me, it was on like 3.9 yards per carry, right? So the run defense struggled, especially towards the end there when they got tired and they were running at us. So I was worried about that. My private prediction, I don't share my predictions, but I'll say them sometimes in a group chat. I thought the Texas offense was actually going to have success and the defense was going to fail us. I don't know, it was half right. But that was ever since Florida, man, I don't know. That style of aggressive offensive line going at you tends to have success, especially later in the game. So I'm going to pick on the passing defense because that was the biggest flaw to me, but the run defense isn't getting off the hook either for that performance, especially late, in my opinion. Agree or disagree, fellas?
I mean, I agree. Yeah, the defense is not, the defense isn't nearly as good as we thought after the first week or two of the season. It's just, in the Georgia game was a wake up call. They need to make some changes on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty clear.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it's pretty clear. Changes on both sides of the ball. Texas came into the season thinking and hoping that there may be another elite defense right around the corner, a la 2024. Yeah, you can't. I mean, right now you'd struggle to call a defense good. If you're just keeping it real, you're giving up some. It's way too easy to scheme against right now. That's the biggest concern.
That is what's scary. When you watch the All-22, coaches are just beating coaches right here, and they're getting easy stuff. All right, special teams, they're able to hold Niblett to a low day. Niblett would have had a big return. The usual suspect held for the 9th time.
No accountability. It's another problem. It's a head coach problem. There's no accountability. And I've been harping about this for a long time. Guys that make penalties, when are they ever punished? Go back to 2022. I think Hayden Connor had a million false starts. And it's just keep rolling them out there.
Cam Williams.
You keep running it. Yeah, you keep rolling these guys out there expecting a different outcome. It's not going to happen. Like I said, Jordan Washington, if you can't convert that catch, you're not playable because you're not out there to block, really. I mean, that's, so what's going on? Warren Roberson, I told him after he got that offsides last week, I said I would never play him again. And it's nothing against Warren. It's just you have got to tell people it's not okay to make these mental mistakes. And they don't do that. There's no accountability on that end.
Yeah. And it's also, I said it on the post game, you're being paid now. It's a little bit different. At this point, it's not, oh shucks, I'm growing up, coach. It's you're being paid to do a job and you're not doing the job. And that part's frustrating. So Niblett gets that called back. And then of course the onside kick. Sark says in the press conference something that they practiced that scenario.
It doesn't matter if you practice it if you're not expecting it.
Right. And it doesn't, to me, that's somehow worse. Yeah. I would prefer them to be like, didn't see that coming, but opposed to be like, we knew that could happen. It's like, well, then why is everyone running backwards whenever they're kicking it, Yeah,
so. Right. It's not a matter of, okay, we're practicing it. If Georgia tells you, hey, we're about to run it, then okay, maybe your practice helped you. But if you're not expecting it, it does not matter.
Yeah. And that was a head coach move for Kirby right there. Like whenever we talk about Sark as a coordinator, that's what a head coach can do whenever he's taking it all in. Hey, time to go for 4th. Time to kick it. Like this is the moment, right? And I don't think Sark feels the game well because I think, frankly, he's looking at, okay, we're about to get the ball back. How am I going to start 1st and 10?
Yeah, I tweeted out last night that the same thing. That's a call a head coach makes that an offensive coordinator is never going to expect.
Yeah. 100%.
And
so,
like you just said, Connor, like there's 100% chance Sark's over there already going through the first couple of plays of the series and what it's going to look like. And you have Kirby on the other side, who, in my opinion, that's when you really got to start looking for something like that because their possessions are limited. It's the 4th quarter. You've shown that you're not putting drives together, and so in Kirby's mind, it's like, what do I have to lose here? We're already he's got to put 2 touchdown drives together to catch us. Well, unless we're converting 2-point conversions, but us on the goal line. So who knows? I don't know, man. That was really frustrating for me. I'm just almost always the guy that's the fake guy. I'm always expecting fake, looking for fake, and so I don't know. I mean, bad situational football.
It's a hell of a call. I mean, they're playing with house money because they just got that 4th down conversion. They're up. What a time to do it. I mean, just a brilliant call. But that's Kirby's playing chess by himself because Sark's over there playing a different game. He's over there playing offense. Kirby's playing head coach.
Yeah, I agree. So Texas lost because of some of these things that we mentioned here. 2 games left, Arkansas, Tejas A&M. We'll see what's up. I don't think there's a playoff team, but there's a technical chance. So we will cover it as if there's a technical chance. But we need to win these next 2 to have that chance to happen. We'll see if Texas bounces back. Ooh. All right, everyone. This was the rewatch, but before we hop off, I want you guys to go to Inside Texas. Come hang out with us. $1 for 1 month. We would love to have you. Enjoy your Sunday, y'all. Spend it with family. Do not mope around. Do not let them take this from you. Okay? Maybe go to Chili's. Chili's is a nice time. I really suggest it. Everyone have a great day. Goodbye.